Our guiding question has been, how does water level affect steelhead trout's ability to migrate? Before we look at the answer to that, let's take a look at some vocabulary that's important to understand. The first word, anatomous. Say that with me. Anatomous. A steelhead trout is anatomous. They spend part of their life in fresh water, like a river, and part of their life in salt water, like the ocean or the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. Our second vocabulary word is migration. Now, steelhead trout also migrate, and to migrate is the seasonal movement from one place to another. Steelhead trout are anatomous. And in our area, in Santa Cruz County, one of the places they can live is in the San Lorenzo River. They grow bigger and bigger, and slowly they start to swim downstream, and they spend time in the area called the estuary. That's where the salt water and the fresh water meet. And in our area, that's right next to Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk that my guess is we're all familiar with. And then they swim out to the ocean, spend a few years in the ocean, and then they swim back up the San Lorenzo River to the very same place where they hatched. Now, it's also important for us to know what a life cycle is. Steelhead trout go through a life cycle. It's a series of changes in the life of an organism that include birth, growth, and reproduction. So here's the life stages of a steelhead trout: egg, alvin, fry, smolt, ocean adult, and spawner. You all had a chance to create a steelhead trout habitat drawing that combines where they live, the life stages of a steelhead trout, and when we're likely going to see the steelhead trout in each life stage based upon how much water they need. So let's look at a completed version here, and you can compare yours to what you see on the screen. Using this drawing to help us answer our guiding question, we can learn a lot about water levels. So again, as a reminder, our guiding question was, how does water level affect steelhead trout's ability to migrate? And it depends upon which life stage we're thinking about. And typically for migration, we're thinking about the smolt life stage, as the steelhead trout is swimming towards the ocean. And we're also thinking about the spawner, as the spawner is leaving the ocean, swimming upstream to where they were hatched themselves. So for the smolt, because they're smaller and they're not that strong quite yet, and they're trying to reach the ocean, the water needs to be relatively lower. And so that's why we're going to see them in the late spring, early summer, when there tends to be a lot less water. But the spawners, we're seeing them when there's lots of water in the winter. Now, seasonally or year by year, it also makes a difference. Over the past 10 years or so, we've had some very big rainstorms where the water level looks like this, almost as if there's a flood. This water is moving too fast for the smolts and too fast for the spawners as well, because it would be too hard for them to swim upstream. We've also had some drought years where we've had very little rain, which means that there's going to be very little water in the river. And scientists have noticed that when there is little water in the river, there are very few steelhead trout migrating. And then we noticed that when there was more rain, and we started to have a steady stream of water flow, it was helpful for the spawners to be able to swim back upstream in order to safely get to the same location where they were hatched to start laying their eggs. Without the spawners' abilities to get upriver, we would have less and less fish. Now, another reason why it's important for us to look at water level is that humans play an important role in this.